Hi, everybody. I am amazed that we are already talking about the October 2021 Hero of the Month, but I am pleased to have with us Kerry Hill, who's the Community Education Manager of Anew. Hi, Kerry. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you, Gwendolyn?
I'm great. So tell us a little bit about Anew and its history, because I don't think that's a name people recognize readily.
Yeah, it's pretty new for us. We've undergone a rebranding, and part of that was renaming our agency. So we have traditionally been South Suburban Family Shelter, and we've been serving the South Suburban community for 41 years now. We're in our 41st year. And so during this year, we engaged in a rebranding process, and our new name is Anew, Building Beyond Violence and Abuse. And we were hoping that it would more accurately and comprehensively capture everything our agency does. You may know, being a member of the South Suburban community yourself, that almost every organization around here starts with South Suburban.
Right.
And we wanted a way to help our agency stand out so that the folks we serve could find us and connect to the services we offer.
So tell me a little bit about how you came up with that tagline and what it really means in detail for folks looking to use your services.
So we set up a rebranding committee. So we had on that committee internal representatives, so staff, leaders. We also had community members participate on that rebranding committee. I wasn't personally part of the rebranding committee, but I participated in the surveys and question asking and the whole process. It was a multi-year process, and they just engaged with the community about what they already knew about us, what might be confusing to them about us, and how we presented ourselves and our name and that sort of thing. And we found that a lot of folks thought that we were a homeless shelter. Oftentimes we got animal shelter requests. One of my favorite stories is that one of the first phone calls I ever answered, I've been with the agency about 10 years, was someone wanting to know what we charge to neuter rabbits. Oh, so boy. We had a lot of confusion, we learned. Yeah. About what our agency does. And so along that process, we solicited suggestions. The committee really worked through what was suggested externally and amongst themselves, and narrowed down the options until they got to 2. And then there was a whole agency-wide and community member vote, and we settled on Anew, Building Beyond Violence and Abuse. My understanding is that we really wanted to focus on the fact that the work we do with our clients, and more precisely the work our clients do themselves, really is about renewal, moving past violence that they've experienced, and building their lives into what they know it can be. Right. And where we recognize that violence is a part of our communities, we are hoping to encourage folks to see their communities in a new light and see ways that they can contribute to building communities that don't include violence, that are nonviolent, safe, welcoming, and allow everyone in them to flourish.
That's fantastic. So, you know, if you were saying, you're listening to this and you're saying, well, what communities do you service? Can you explore that?
Sure. We don't have any exclusionary sort of terms around who we serve. Primarily, we see clients in all these South Suburban areas, as well as into Northwest Indiana. So our public office is based in Homewood. So we're definitely drawing clients from all the surrounding communities, from Homewood, Flossmoor, Park Forest, Olympia Fields, Tinley, Country Club Hills, Harvey, Markham, all of those surrounding communities. There's plenty I haven't named, as well as into Northwestern Indiana. But truly, anyone who calls seeking assistance or service or support from us is eligible to be a client. One of the things about domestic violence is that oftentimes folks may want to seek services somewhere outside of where they live because Sure. It may be a safer option for them. And so we really do provide services to clients as they determine our services are accessible for them.
And what type of services would that include and encompass?
Sure. So for survivors or victims of domestic violence, we offer counseling, and that's for everybody of any age or gender. We offer services like counseling, group and individual counseling. We offer children's counseling. We have a program called Safe from the Start that is services for children 5 and under who have experienced violence or trauma of any kind, really. And they and their family members can come and get those counseling services and surrounding support services. We have a court advocacy program based out of the Markham County Courthouse, where we can support survivors in accessing orders of protection and navigating that system. You well know that the justice system can be intimidating to folks that don't work in it day to day. We do advocacy in the community in healthcare settings and other settings where we're helping people understand we're available as a resource for them, helping them understand whether they maybe have been impacted by domestic violence and what we can do to help. We offer a transitional housing program and a rapid rehousing program, case management, all kinds of things that work in tandem to help surround someone with all the various issues that may arise when they are impacted by violence. We have emergency services. So that is an emergency hotline and emergency shelter for folks who are in imminent danger for their life due to domestic violence. And then on the side of the cycle of violence, where we are working with folks who choose to abuse a partner, choose to abuse their family, we have a partner abuse intervention program, and that's working with adult people who choose to use violence with their adult intimate partner. And again, whatever gender, whatever sexual orientation, that is a program that intervenes in that violence and helps folks work to hold themselves accountable for the choices they're making to be violent, the impact of those choices, and help them start learning how to be nonviolent in a relationship.
Sure, and I think that's really important. I mean, you're servicing both sides. You know, you can't just advocate on one side and not have a solution for people as well.
Absolutely right.
That's a really important, part of what it is that you provide. So are you housed by a lot of volunteers in your organization? How does the structure of the organization really work?
Most of our work, since there's such a high need for very strict confidentiality in domestic violence services, most of our work is done by paid staff. When we work with volunteers, it's really to support community outreach or some administrative work around the agency. We really, the pandemic made it really difficult for us to engage with volunteers in the way we traditionally have, because we couldn't be in person the way we could before. And so that's getting built back in a little by little. And so volunteers are great assets to us in all the ways that they can share their own talents with our agency. We've had folks share their talents as writers and getting the word out about our agency. We've had folks honestly making purple ribbons for us for Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Sure.
Stem to stern, there's lots of things we can find for folks to do as volunteers that won't breach confidentiality for the safety of the folks we work with.
Right. Now, other than volunteering, how else do you suggest that people, if they are hearing about the program, they're saying, wow, I really want to support that organization? How else can they become involved?
The absolute best way to support our agency from a donation standpoint is unrestricted monetary donations, frankly. The way that many nonprofits, and certainly ours, are funded is largely by grants, whether government or private foundation grants, corporate grants. And most typically those kind of grants come with restrictions that the funds can only be applied to XYZ fill in the blank. And without unrestricted general funding, that limits our agency's freedom to put money where we see the real need for it, whether that's something specific for clients, whether that's to support the tech our staff needs to do their job well, which was a high priority during the pandemic. Of course, they had to shift to using tech where they typically wouldn't. And so those unrestricted monetary donations really do fill a gap in how our work is funded and how we're able to meet client needs.
Now, are there any upcoming events or anything that people would have an opportunity to perhaps service or get to know a little more about the organization?
Absolutely. So we just held at the beginning of this month, so to sort of crack into Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we had our second annual virtual gala. We've had a gala for many years, but this virtual one was a little different approach that our development team innovated during the pandemic.
Sure.
So that's just passed. And so that was one of our primary big fundraising centered events.
Okay.
But we have some really great client-centered events that I think our community often has a lot of fun with that happen during the end of the year. We've got Adopt a Family, which is a program where folks can do just what the title says. And that is providing gifts and a meal and various little things that you could negotiate with our development and communications team for one of the families we serve. And so lots of times that means where folks wouldn't have been able to have a great celebratory holiday meal, however they celebrate, and or some holiday gifts that they maybe used to be able to have before they made some moves in their life to be safer.
Sure.
This allows our community to really help people celebrate whatever holiday they honor in that way.
Now, if somebody is interested in doing that, how would they reach out to you and get to know a little more about your organization as well?
Sure. You can follow us on social. We are on Facebook and Instagram and probably all manner of ones that I'm blanking on right now.
Sure.
But Instagram and Facebook are reliable sources. You can visit us at our website, which is anewdv.org. Both of those places can really connect you to more information about the organization. You'll certainly be able to find info about Adopt a Family, our virtual gala, and some of the other activities that they'll be doing as they go into 2022.
Got it. Now, last but not least is, if you're listening today and you know that you've been a victim or a survivor of domestic abuse and you need help and you feel paralyzed and don't even know where to turn. And we find that to be true in our practice here as domestic relations, attorneys in doing divorce and family law. So what is your message to that individual that's listening today?
Anew really is here to help you, and you deserve that support. What you're dealing with or what you may have dealt with in the past with being victimized by someone, surviving abuse is incredibly hard, incredibly challenging, nuanced experience. And Anew is, the folks that work at Anew are non-judgmental. They're here to support you in reclaiming your power, giving you back the agency in your choices that may have been taken from you while you were being abused, and taking that first step to just reach out for more information and ask questions is all of that stem to Stern Confidential. So if you aren't ready to make the move to getting counseling, for example, just call us, just contact us, ask your questions, because that is often a way for you to feel more confident in taking the next step and really getting that support and the counseling and the services that you need to be safe.
Sure. No, I really appreciate that. And if you're listening, there are many things that you can do. This organization is a wonderful place to start. We offer free consultations if that's where you want to start, but you just need to take that first step and to do something about it, because you are right. It's about claiming back your life and doing something to move forward. And life's not over. You've been a victim, but you can then be a survivor, as you said. And I think that's the interchangeable use of those words is really important in the message that you're sending out to people.
Folks, the resilience of folks who are experiencing trauma at the hands of someone they trust blows my mind every time I encounter it. And, I hadn't mentioned, but I would want to leave you with the information that on Facebook, my team in the community education program puts together a regular series called What's the Tea, Anew? And it's an interview series that airs every Tuesday at 1 p.m. The reason this came to mind is they just finished their Domestic Violence Awareness Month series today with a survivor who was super generous in sharing her experience with domestic violence. And so I would say anybody who's thinking, I really want to have this violence end in my life, seek out that program on Facebook and have a listen to Miss Reba Bell's story, because her honesty and openness about the ups and downs, warts and all of her experience, I think could give anyone the confidence that they can get to a safer, more happy place in their life.
That's fantastic. Well, we really appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for being with us today, and we're honored to call you our Hero of the Month.
Thank you so much, Gwendolyn. Everybody at Anew is super excited that you've chosen us.
Thank you so much.